Vaya privilegio esta semana en la Ciudad de México con Adidas, con cultofútbol.com, un personaje que ha trascendido como pocos o como ninguno, lo meramente deportivo, la cancha de fútbol, brillante como futbolista, sí, pero a la vez un símbolo social, cultural, incluso político, histórico, para que usted entienda, el primer rostro occidental que apareció en espectaculares de publicidad en algunos países musulmanes fue el suyo, un personaje que se convirtió y supo posicionarse como una marca consolidadísima. Y está conmigo el gran David Robert Joseph Beckham. Such an honor to be with you. How are you, David?
I'm very good, thank you. I'm excited to be back in Mexico City. I haven't been here for 7 or 8 years, so it's nice to be back.
Has it changed a bit?
It's changed a little bit, but it still has that feeling, you know, that special feeling. You know, I was saying to my wife a few hours ago that, you know, I was driving back from the hotel to an event last night, and I saw, you know, the atmosphere in the streets, and it was incredible. I saw like a couple, like a 16-year-old couple kissing, and then I saw a 90-year-old couple kissing on the park bench. That, you know, you can't beat that. It's amazing to be back.
Coming from a person that calls home London, it's much to say, right?
Yeah, to be honest, you know, where I'm lucky that I travel to so many different places around the world, and I always feel at home in most places, to be honest, because I love the culture. I love jumping into some, you know, the different food cultures, and, you know, I love travel. So I find most places that I go to, I can call home, or it feels like home.
And you can cope with the spicy food? You could...
I love spicy food.
Yeah, no problem at all?
No problem at all. Yeah.
Okay. In case somebody wants to invite David to have some tacos?
I mean, I'm always happy.
He's always
happy to do that.
Amazing. David, could you describe me? What can you see here? This lovely picture.
Yeah, my parents in the back garden of our house in London, in the East End of London. And this was, I just won the Bobby Charlton soccer school. So this picture was shortly after that, and yeah, it's a special picture.
The East End of London, such a special place.
It's the best place. It's the best place in London.
Lots of Olympic memories.
Yes.
When you were carrying the torch.
A lot, yeah, a lot happened in London. You know, the East End of London has changed over the years, and especially obviously with the Olympics being in my manor. You know, that was a special time.
What is your first Adidas memory?
It was my first pair of boots that I ever got.
So actually, here's Adidas, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We were an Adidas family even before I was part of the Adidas family. So yeah, my first early memory was my first gift from my mum and dad for Christmas, Adidas boots.
How were they?
They were great. They're not as good as they are these days, but they are. They've always been good, and they've always been my favorite brand to wear. So.
Then, during the World Cup in France 1998, you were 23 years old and already established as a top-class player. Just before you scored the goal against Wimbledon, which is something amazing, and it was with one of these guys.
Yeah.
With this shoe, exactly. Right?
Not this exact.
No, not exact shoe, well, that model, the Predator Accelerator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
What do you remember about it in particular? It was a revolution, right?
To be honest, you know, when Predators came into the market, it was something special. You know, I remember putting the first pair of Predators on, and they were obviously a lot heavier than they are now and different. But there was something that was special about the Predator boot, and I'm proud now. You know, I've been retired now for 10 years from the game, and I can actually say that every special moment that happened in my career, I was wearing Predators.
Yeah, and with Accelerator in particular, you went on, thanks David, you went on for your Champions League win with Manchester.
I did.
United was waiting for 30 years
30
for
years.
this to happen. You had an amazing goal against Barcelona, right? The first
yeah,
one.
free kick.
Yeah.
Free kick. That was a great game. It was a free game. That was to put us 3-2 ahead, and then they came back. I think Rivaldo maybe scored, but that was a special night at Old Trafford. You know, playing in Champions League games at Old Trafford. On a Wednesday night, they were the best atmospheres, and especially when you're playing against a team like Barcelona, Manchester United, Barcelona, the history, the heritage, and those games were the best games.
And I really could get the meaning of theater of the dreams.
Yeah.
At that final against FC Bayern. At that point, when it was impossible, when you were lost, what comes to your mind when you think about 88 minutes? Nothing happens. FC Bayern leads 1-0 to nothing.
You know, we were a team that never gave up. You know, and especially in that season, we had a few games where we scored in the last few minutes. You know, I think it was the quarterfinals of the FA Cup against Liverpool at Old Trafford, and we were losing 1-0, and we ended up winning 2-1 in the last few minutes. So, you know, we never gave up, and that's what we always believed. But the final was different. You know, there was 3 minutes left. We wasn't really. Our flow of the game wasn't perfect, but all of a sudden there was a few things that started to happen in the game, and you feel that. So as soon as we got the first goal, we were like, okay, we can breathe. We're back in the game. But then we didn't want to wait. We didn't want to wait and go into extra time. We knew that we could win that game. So we kept on pushing, and then we get the corner, and then we get another goal.
And then we have this amazing shoe.
Amazing
Predator.
shoe.
Acceleration, better precision in this situation, better precision.
Yeah.
And it was the precision against Greece.
Yep.
To achieve the World Cup qualification over Germany, right?
That was a special moment. You know, the goal against Greece for me, people always turn around to me and say, what was your favorite goal? And I say either the Greece goal or the goal against Wimbledon. But the Greece goal was special because it was for England. I was the captain. We were playing at Old Trafford, and to score a goal like that then took our country through to the World Cup in, I can't remember where it was now, in Japan, I think.
Japan, Korea.
That was amazing. So for me, that was a special moment.
And during the World Cup, that penalty kick against Argentina in Sapporo, as far as I remember.
Sapporo, yeah.
In that dome.
Yeah, well,
it was good on your heart.
It was amazing. The atmosphere was amazing. You know, our England fans always travel so well. And we had a whole stadium full of England fans, and obviously England-Argentina rivalry was always a difficult one, especially obviously because, you know, my relationship with 𝐃𝐚𝐤𝐡𝐚𝐦, and there was the whole history with that. And then obviously we had Collina as the referee, who was amazing, and then Pochettino was playing. Pochettino was the one that gave the penalty away. So I ended up taking the penalty, and that was a special time.
And of course, in this lovely journey, Predator Mania.
Yeah.
I mean, these shoes actually have the instinct of prediction, because the mania started with them when you joined Real Madrid.
Yeah.
That was hectic.
This was actually my favorite Predator. I was trying to think of what it was upstairs a minute ago. This was my favorite Predator. You know, the stripes are incredible. This was obviously the moment where I joined Real Madrid as well. So it was a special moment, but these are for sure my favorite boots.
I was one of the lucky ones to be at your presentation at the Raimundo Saporta Pavilion in Madrid.
Yeah.
It seemed that there was not a football match, a Champions League final. Thousands of cameras of people gathering around, broadcasting live. Were you aware of this situation?
To be honest, I'd never had that kind of situation before, because I always was at Manchester United. So at Manchester United, you know, I was not in really that position to have something like that. But then obviously when I moved to Madrid, I think it was a pretty big moment for Madrid at the time. And obviously a big moment for me. So yeah, it was crazy, but it was in a good way, in the best possible way.
Yeah, and at the same time, at that point, we could admire you much more for one reason. How to cope with all that? You became a cultural icon, a social symbol, a UK ambassador. You were everywhere around. But at the same time, you were one of the lads training. Yeah. How could you do that? Was it complicated?
It wasn't complicated because it was how I was brought up. If I didn't do things like that, my dad would tell me. He would be the first person to tell me. So, you know, I was always brought up in that way, to work hard, to always do the right things, and I always tried to do that. So, you know, being the first into training, being the last out of training was something that I always believed was the right thing to do.
Even to clean your own shoes?
Always. Always. And I still clean my shoes now when I'm out with the kids. I have to clean the kids' shoes as well, so they don't do it, it's all me.
Your father, was he tough as a manager? Because I know that in your backyard, he was kind of a coach for you.
Yeah,
How was he? What was he doing?
He was a coach, he was my mentor, he was my father. And he was the most, really, with my mother, was the most important person around, people around me at that time, you know, giving me the sport, driving me to training, driving me to matches, giving me the support that I needed as a young man. So they were very important to me.
That perfection for bending free kicks, for crossing, came from there? So many repetitions?
It didn't come from my dad. He would like to say it came from him, but it wasn't from my dad.
Let me see.
I don't know. It's just something that I learned over the years. You know, I could always strike the ball well. I could always kick the ball far. But I suppose the bend came after years of practice.
It might be easy to think right now that everything was so simple for Beckham. Well, he was talented, he was skillful. No, it's not. How was the sacrifice?
I think to sometimes to reach the certain level, to reach the highest level, you have to sacrifice. You know, I always tell my children in life, you know, there's things that you have to sacrifice and there's things that you have to give up. And I suppose I did that from a very young age. You know, I was from the east of London, East End of London, but I loved Manchester United and my dream was to play for Manchester United. So I left my family when I was 15 years old to move to Manchester, and that was sacrifice. You know, you have to sacrifice sometimes to reach a certain level, and I'm glad I did.
Speaking about sacrifices, when you were 13 years old, you went to USA for the first time. And you were part of a Mexican family.
I was.
The Alcalás, is that correct?
Yeah, yeah.
How's the story?
Well, we was going away with, I think it was the Essex County team, and we went to Dallas. Okay. And when we were in Dallas, two players went to one family, two players went and stayed with another family. We didn't stay in a hotel, we stayed in with families. And I ended up staying with the most amazing Mexican family that were unbelievable. And it was one of the most memorable things that I've ever done. And then when I was playing for the LA Galaxy, they found the family and they brought the family to the game. So it was a special moment.
What do you remember about the food, about the routine?
Everything. You know, and I love home cooking. You know, I love to cook myself, but I love to eat. And I love home cooking. I was brought up in a household where my mum would make the most amazing dinners and lunches. And I remember the food that I had whilst I was staying with this family was incredible. So great memories.
If you could time travel, what would you tell David Beckham as a child? And what would you tell your dad as a coach in the backyard?
I would tell David Beckham as a child, I would say, enjoy every moment, because I suppose when you get older, things happen so quickly and life goes by so fast. To enjoy the moment, because it goes by so fast these days. What would I tell my father? To take it easy on his son. A little bit, just a little bit.
Just a little.
No, but my dad was amazing. You know, the support that he gave me, but he was hard on me, and that was, I suppose, what made me as a person and as a man and as a footballer.
How many hours does David Beckham's day have? Because I mean, my day has 24 hours. You're everywhere. Fashion, entrepreneurship, Miami, MLS.
Yeah, I would like more than 24 hours in a day, but unfortunately that's not possible. But I was saying the other day to one of my friends, I said, I only get like maybe 5 hours of sleep a night, and that obviously is saying that I'm awake for 19 other hours, but it still doesn't seem enough. But no, I'd like more hours in the day.
And to enjoy your children, of course.
That's the most important thing to me and Victoria. You know, our children, our families, the #1 priority.
We're just coming from a World Cup where Mexico struggled quite a bit. We were out in the first round. It was a failure.
Out, but one goal could have changed it. You know, and that's the thing with football. You know, there's details and there's, you know, margins that are so small sometimes. But you know, I watched the team in a couple of the games, and you know, I felt that they could have gone through, but you know, it's the same with England. You know, I felt that England could have gone further, but we come up against a good French team, and unfortunately we got knocked out.
And we have here the Predator accuracy, the new model.
Yeah.
What do you think about it?
I think it's great. You know, I think
very special technology.
Special technology, special colors. I love the colors and the design. You know, I've always said that Adidas are ahead of the game in evolving, you know, where they go next. But you know, this is a special boot, and I wish I was actually still playing to wear it.
Well, seeing all these models, I was thinking, back then I used to think, well, this comes from the future. This is something different.
Yeah.
But really, you can get to see that this is actually...
Yeah, it's incredible. It's incredible where, you know, the way the boots are going now, you know, and a lot of them are not leather anymore. which is different. But
what is the main difference to your Predator days?
They're a lot lighter. These are a lot lighter than they were, and this part of the sock was different. Most of my Predators have the tongue on them, which we have the elastic, and I was the one that designed this.
Really?
The night before one of the games, I was sat in my room and I was like, keeps moving around and it was annoying me in training, and I said, okay. So I got a needle and a thread, and I did this the night before a game, and I said, okay. And I said to Adidas, this is what I want to do. I want the elastic round all of my boots so it holds the tongue there. And in that particular game, the first time I kicked the ball, the elastic like flew off. But that was where my idea came from with the elastic.
Afterwards, we had that as a tradition.
Yeah.
David, we are getting into the World Cup 2026. Mexico, USA, and Canada as co-host.
Yeah.
What are you expecting? What kind of tournament?
I think there'll be a lot of excitement, throughout Mexico and obviously Canada and the US. I think it's going to be a special, every World Cup special. We've just had the World Cup in Qatar where fans were able to see 3-4 games in one day. You're not going to have that in the next World Cup, but every World Cup is unique and every World Cup is special in its own way. So I think it's going to be incredible to have this World Cup and the excitement that's going to go with it.
What kind of football do you think it's currently being played? Is it changing? Is it evolving?
Without a doubt. Football is a sport that continues to grow, and it's the most popular and the biggest game in the world. So it will always continue to grow in the way it does. But you've seen how the game has changed over the years, and that is why it makes it the greatest game in the world.
And Miami is going to be part of the tournament, so you're going to be part of the tournament as well.
Well, of course, obviously it's a special time in Miami. For me to have the team there, it's amazing. We have a great fan base, and we have some good players coming into the team this year. So this year is going to be exciting. But to have the World Cup come to our city, it's going to be special.
David, thanks for this lovely conversation.
You're welcome. Pleasure.
David Beckham, aquí con Adidas en la Ciudad de México, con cultofútbol.com. Vaya privilegio, hemos hablado de todo. Hablamos de todo.
Más o menos.
¿Casi?
Sí.
Casi. David Beckham dice que casi. Muchas gracias, continuamos.